The silent exodus, why the world is quietly ditching U.S. tourism. Ever wondered why fewer Canadians, Brits, and Colombians are skipping their usual U.S. vacations in 2025? It's not just about flight prices. Picture a young Canadian nurse canceling her Florida trip after new border delays, or a Spanish couple switching New York for Tokyo after hearing horror stories at customs. Quietly, without protests or headlines, countries are pulling back from U.S. tourism, and most people don't even notice. This isn't your usual list of travel bans. These are subtle boycotts, emotional shifts, and political reactions hidden in plain sight. And trust me, the last one will catch you completely off guard. 10. Ecuador. Who would have guessed that Ecuador would start drifting from U.S. vacations in 2025? But that's exactly what's playing out. And it's not just politics. Earlier this year, Ecuador endured rolling blackouts due to a severe drought, sparking an energy crisis that impacted businesses and households alike. With the economy reeling, Ecuadorians are choosing budget-friendly regional travel, like trips to Colombia or Peru, over expensive U.S. trips. But here's where it gets deeper. Environmental groups in Quito have been vocal about U.S. oil companies operating in the Amazon and are now urging a grassroots tourism boycott. Even for those who can afford it, U.S. Customs horror stories, delays, detentions, and digital scrutiny have made them hesitate. These shifts aren't making global headlines, but they're very real. When environmental outrage meets economic crisis, even a popular destination like the U.S. can quietly slide off the itinerary. 9. United Kingdom. You'd think Brits were still queuing up for New York selfies and Florida theme parks, but 2025 says otherwise. UK travel to the US dipped over 13% this year compared to pre-2020 levels, and that's not by accident. Complaints about aggressive border checks and long visa processing times have blown up on platforms like TripAdvisor and Reddit. One story that made headlines: British student Rebecca Burke was held at LAX for 10 days over a misfiled ESTA form. Public outrage followed. But wait, there's more. Post-Brexit economic pressures and growing political unease about American foreign policy have left a bitter taste. And with the Eurozone offering sunny vacations without the interrogation room vibes, Brits are booking closer to home: Portugal, Spain, and even Croatia. This isn't a loud protest, it's a quiet fade-out, fueled by caution, comfort, and, honestly, convenience. 8. Colombia. You'd think Colombians, who've long adored Miami beaches and New York shopping sprees, would still be flocking to the U.S. in 2025. But here's the twist: U.S. arrivals from Colombia dropped by over 33% in Q1 of 2025, one of the most significant declines from Latin America. So, what's behind this sudden freeze? It started with growing frustration over visa processing issues. Thousands of Colombians have faced appointment backlogs and long delays at U.S. embassies. Those who make it through often complain about stricter screenings and a rise in rejections. Then came the economic sting. While the U.S. didn't impose new tariffs, trade tensions escalated. Rumors of pending tariff hikes sparked frustration among exporters and business owners who took to online forums to call for a boycott. 7. Canada. You'd think America's bestie to the north would keep pouring in across the border, but in 2025, Canadians are pumping the brakes. Land border crossings fell over 25% in early 2025, with major entry points seeing an unusual dip during peak season. What gives? Turns out it's the perfect storm. Trade tensions flared up again after Washington threatened new levies on Canadian aluminum and auto parts. While politicians traded jabs, average Canadians made quiet decisions, like skipping that Target run in Buffalo or ditching Florida vacations altogether. Airlines felt the blow, too, with over 300,000 airline seats cut on U.S.-Canada routes due to low demand. The cause? 6. Spain. Ever thought Spain would cool off on visiting the U.S.? Neither did anyone else until the numbers told a completely different story. In early 2025, Spanish tourist arrivals to the United States fell by 21% in Q1, compared to the same period in 2024. That's not just a seasonal dip, it's a trend that's catching fire. What's driving the retreat? A complex mix of political unease, visa fatigue, and shifting priorities. The return of heated U.S. political rhetoric, especially surrounding immigration, has made some Spanish travelers feel uneasy. Many are asking, why risk an unpleasant border experience when Paris or Dubrovnik is just a quick flight away? 5. South Korea. Would you believe one of Asia's tech powerhouses is quietly backing away from American vacations? South Koreans, long fans of California beaches and New York shopping, are cooling off. While international visits to the U.S. dropped 8.1% in March 2025, arrivals from South Korea dipped even more, around 11.4%. The reasons? Let's start with the U.S. slapping a 15% tariff on South Korean electric vehicles and chips in July 2025. The bigger gut punch came in September when the U.S. rolled back South Korea's eligibility for fast-track visa renewals, forcing many travelers to attend in-person interviews, a process that's now backlogged by months. 4. Germany. How does a country famous for order and efficiency end up giving the cold shoulder to the United States? In 2025, Germany didn't make headlines with loud protests or official bans. It just quietly pulled back. By March, U.S.-bound travel from Germany plunged 26.8%, one of the steepest drops among major European nations. Part of the fallout comes from airlines like Lufthansa and Condor trimming U.S. routes, but the deeper issue is friction. 3. Dominican Republic. Who would have thought the Dominican Republic, long connected to the U.S. through family and business, would start pulling away in silence? But that's what 2025 brought. By March, U.S.-bound tourist arrivals from the DR dropped 31.6%, one of the steepest falls. 2. Australia. Why would a country that shares America's love for Hollywood and the English language start ghosting U.S. tourism? Here's a plot twist: Australians are quietly backing away from the U.S., and the numbers are getting too loud to ignore. In March 2025, U.S. officials reported a 1. Ireland. What does it say when one of America's oldest allies starts quietly backing away? This isn't just any country, it's Ireland. In 2025, they're hitting pause on their U.S. travel plans in a way that can't be ignored. In February 2025, Irish residents made just 304,300 foreign trips.